Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Old Man and the Read. My name is Jerry. Well, I'm going to do another 15 favorite books to recommend. Uh, the first one I have is Possession by A.S. Byatt. And this is a story of a man and a woman who are researching a couple of Victorian poets who had had a love affair. And during their research, they inevitably had a love affair of their own that paralleled the one they were researching. Just very poetic prose and interspersed with actual poetry. The next book is Masterpieces, a short story or a short science fiction story compilation. And this is edited by Orson Scott Card. And to me, it's very aptly titled because these are really some masterpieces, sci-fi masterpieces. And I had bought the book mainly just so I could read Robert A. Heinlein's story, All You Zombies, which was really a fantastic story, but really just about everything in the book was excellent. I especially like the story by Theodore Sturgeon. He's writes it with very lyrical prose, and that's something you don't normally associate with sci-fi writers. The next book is At the Bottom of the River by Jamaica Kincaid. This is a short story collection that's entirely about Kincaid's very poetic, extraordinary writing. The poetry in the prose ranges from narrative poetry to free verse. The title story in the book was At the Bottom of the River. It was basically what I would call exquisite. The next book I have is a nonfiction. This is Dark Matter and the Dinosaurs by Lisa Randall. And in this one, Randall talks about dark energy and the evidence for it, along with a lot of other aspects that are found in the solar system. And then she begins talking about her theory that there's a plane of dark matter along the same plane as the Milky Way. And then as the sun orbits around the center of the Milky Way, it passes through the plane of dark matter, and this causes a gravitational disturbance that attracts comets from the Oort cloud, and this increases the chances of meteors striking the Earth, and she postulates that that is what occurred for the extinction of the dinosaur. Next book is Canada by Richard Ford. This is about a 15-year-old boy whose parents rob a bank and are arrested, and this leaves him and his sister alone in their house in Montana. And then his sister runs away, leaving him, and he is then taken by a friend of the family to Canada, and he's brought there to live with a man who has a very violent nature. The next book is The Devil in the White City by Eric Larson. This is a true crime murder story, but it actually reads like fiction. There's two storylines running through the book. One of them is about an architect, Daniel Burnham, who had led the building of the 1893 World's Fair in Chicago, which was known as the White City. And then the second storyline is follows a Dr. Holmes, who lures people, dozens of people, to his hotel that he has made into basically a death trap. And they're two very different stories that really don't relate, but they occurred at the same time. The next book is Onicha by J.M.G. Leclésio. This is the story of a young boy who travels to Africa with his mother to join his father. And his father he had never met. They had been separated by World War II. And so now they're going to join him. And it follows their travels. It's a long journey to get to Onicha, Africa. And then it tells about the boy adapting to life in Africa and slowly becoming aware of the racism that occurs in colonial Africa. The next book is Michelangelo and the Pope's Ceiling by Ross King. This story follows Michelangelo and how he was commissioned to paint the Sistine Chapel. And the book talks a lot about Michelangelo's early career and how his fame had grown from sculpture but not painting. The author talks about all of the difficulties that Michelangelo experienced, all the tribulations and some of the innovations he had to use to get through the 4 years that it took to create the painting. The next book is The Waves by Virginia Woolf. Woolf is such an outstanding writer. This is a book that really shows her skill in poetic prose. The story itself almost is a non-story. It's basically about a group of friends and their lives from childhood to adulthood and about the death of a couple of them. Another very poetic book is On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. This is really a fictionalized autobiography, and it's written just in absolute poetic prose. It's written as if it's a letter to his mother, who had come from Vietnam, and she is unable to read English, and so she will never actually be able to read the book. The next book is Night Circus by Aaron Morgenstern, and this is about a competition between two illusionists. Each of them had been trained by a master magician, and they're now in competing in a match in which neither of them know what the rules are and actually what the outcome will be. The next book, another nonfiction, Complexity and the Arrow of Time, and this is really just a collection of essays, some very incredibly scientific essays. I'll give you an example that just by the titles of some of the essays. Cosmologic entropic boundary conditions. Another, using complexity science to search for unity in the natural sciences. Another, spontaneous generation of complexity in the universe. Another, life as the final frontier of complexity. So I kind of get the idea, and they're some of those are really difficult to fully understand. The next book is Woman Hollering Creek by Sandra Cisneros. This is a collection of short stories, mostly about women of Mexican descent who are living in Texas or California. The title story, Woman Hollering Creek, is about a woman whose husband, shortly after they were married, began abusing her, and she realizes she's stuck in a situation with no way out. The next book is The Time Traveler's Wife by Audrey Niffinger. And this is really just a heartbreaking story about a love between a man who is he's an involuntary time traveler, and about the woman who he loves who is left to wait for him periodically. And the last book I have to show is another nonfiction. This is Marco Polo by Lawrence Berggren, and it's a biography of Marco Polo, but Berggren admits it's rather sketchy. It's based on stories that Polo had told to a man, Rustichello, while they were in prison together, and Rustichello wrote the stories down. And so this was basically the first book, and he added some of his own material to it. But that book was recopied for years and years. The original was lost, but it was finally printed 175 years after it was first written. And this takes place when the Mongols had taken over China and Kublai Khan was the ruler. But those are 15 more of the books I've read that I wanted to recommend. So I want to thank you for watching the video.